Peace, peace, peace. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I can hear the recording. Everybody good? What's up, Pernice? What's the word? What's the word? I hope everyone's good, man. I'm at the house this time, making it do what it do. Let me turn this music down just a little bit. I hope y'all can hear the music. Sometimes I like to freeze us out when it comes to this stuff, man. Appreciate everyone joining us. A little bit behind schedule. No problem. No problem. We'll still get the full hour in. We'll just check out around 8:10, 8:11. You can hear now? Okay. So I wonder if they keep muting out the music, the intro music, which this time it's free music. So I don't understand why they keep doing that. Not understanding it at all. But hope everyone's good, man. Hope the week is starting out good for everybody. We're going to jump right in it in just a few more minutes, not minutes, but seconds, literally. And so hopefully we get the chance to kind of go over everything. I took notes, and it's a lot. It's a lot. Maybe we break this up into two parts. I'm not sure. Maybe we mix it up a little bit. But shout out to everyone watching on the personal page, League of Intelligence page on YouTube. Freddie Ray, what's going on, family? Like I said, hope everyone's week is starting off the way it needs to start off. Peace and prosperity. Much love. We're going to go over today the secret sauce, the reason why our people were so successful. And we'll jump into that. I'm gonna go ahead and get started, man. I'm gonna get started, and I'll greet people as we go along. It's good for everyone to join us. All right, let's see here. All right, I'm gonna minimize myself a little bit. There we go. So of course, this is the Black History class. It's not the Black Presence in the Americas, so I made a mistake there. I didn't update it, but we're talking about the what caused our people to be successful. What was the secret? How did they do it? How did they get it done? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I appreciate everyone joining us, man. Everyone joining us for the past. I think this is week 7 or 8. I'm not quite sure. You can't hear me? You can't hear anything? What's going on? Let me see here. Unmute. Or can you hear me now? Can y'all hear me? Let me know what my volume's talking about. You can hear me? Okay. Or I'm not sure what the issue is. Appreciate you, T. I'm not sure what the issue is on your side. It seems to be good to go. Maybe go out of the broadcast and then come back in, and maybe it'll fix itself. Switching devices. Say word. Okay, so we're actually supposed to be talking about what caused our ancestors to be successful. That's what we're here for. We're going to get into that. This is a continuation of Black History Month. Black History Month, of course, is in February. Shout out to Carter G. Woodson, who first started out with Negro History Week back in 1926, I believe, right around that time frame. He saw the importance of sharing our accomplishments, our achievements, in order to build the psyche correctly, our mindset correctly, and also to help debunk all these racial claims that we are an inferior people. And without that knowledge in the forefront, it's going to be hard to do. So he wanted to start putting pressure on the educational system. So he established Negro History Week, and we know about things being progressive and building on that. So in 1970, the students of Kent State said, listen, a week is cool. We need a month. We need a whole month of celebrating Black achievement. Again, why do you celebrate it? One reason is to get an idea of who you are, what you're capable of, who your people were, the lineage that you come from, and also to help debunk, again, all these racial stigmas that are attached to Blackness and who we are. Very important. Without that, you are miseducated, misled, and have an improper understanding of who you are and who your people are. And then you'll start to believe in the things that racism says about us. You'll start to believe that we're inferior, we're dirty, we're dingy, we're savage, we're criminal, we're not as intelligent as other groups. You'll start to internalize that. And once you do that, that's when they got you. So Black History Month was established, and now we need to make this a mandatory part of our curriculum. Every single one of our children should go through a rites of passage, if you will, that's rooted in understanding who we are as a people, our accomplishments, achievements, where we've been, where we've traveled, etc., etc. Mandatory across the board. That's our mission. That's our generational mission. Other generations had to do different type of projects, and they had a different purpose. Our purpose now, we got to deal with these mental chains, and part of that is getting our education adjusted. So shout out to everybody who's tuning in, who's been tuning in for the past, I think it's 7 or 8 weeks. Miss Tony, if you're on here, please let me know how long it's been. Something to that effect. So let's kind of jump right into it. So before, we were highlighting and talking about the golden age, right? We were talking about what were Black people doing before slavery, and we highlighted some of these kingdoms that you see over here. You'll see we highlighted some of those. We talked about Aksum. We talked about Ghana and Mali and Yoruba and the Congo kingdom. We were highlighting all types of things, the money that we generated, the type of skill that we had, which enriched our trade. We talked about the standard of living, the type of houses we developed, 2 and 3 stories tall. In Swahili, they had up to 6 stories tall. Our houses had tap water and toilets. We were highly sophisticated given the times. Back then, we were free, proud, and productive people who were producing prosperity. That's what we were doing. That's what we were about. We had prosperous societies. So we highlighted some of those. Then we talked about not only on the African continent, we went over to Asia, and we talked about what we established on the Asian continent, being the first kings of the Asian continent, the first to bring civilization to the Asian continent. We're the foundation of China. You saw what we did in India. Like, there's a lot that we accomplished on the Asian continent. I invite you to go back and check out some of those videos. All of them are on Facebook. They're on the YouTube channel. If you have that, they're on League of Intelligence page. You can go back and kind of get a look at that if you missed those before. So we've accomplished a lot. And then we traveled on over to the Americas, and we started to establish ourselves on this continent way before any type of Atlantic slave trade took place. We've been young, as we say in Chucktown. We've been over here long time, man. Migrations, nations built ships and sailed over. Like, we did it in a number of ways. And we established civilization here. Then we all know those Olmec heads. You can't deny the artifacts. Over 90,000 artifacts of African origin dated before 1492 have been found in the Americas. What can you say to that? What can you say to that? So we've been here. So we've been building some foundations with these Tuesday classes. Then we talked about melanin. We talked about, this physical thing that we can see with the eye, that they try to attach racial stigmas to, and negativity to, and inferiority to, and being less than, constantly associating us with negative attributes. But then we did the science, we did the homework, we did the research, and we started to find out what melanin really is and the many functions that it has, not just in the body, but throughout the world, throughout the universe. It's a foundational element, and we are made from it. And so to understand a lot of that is what we went into. I invite you to watch that particular video that we did. That was last week, as a matter of fact. We talked about melanin and our Blackness. I invite you to go back and watch that. Again, these are highlight videos, 1 hour. We can't go super in depth, but we still can get some things done within that time period. So that's what we've done so far. And so with building all those kingdoms, with building those nations, those united villages, etc., What was the secret sauce for our ancestors? How did they do it? Basically, we've been covering the tree. You can kind of take a look at the pictures I have up here. You have the tree. That's the thing that you can see. You saw the communities we built. You saw the accomplishments, the trade networks, the riches. You saw the whole setup. What you don't see on a tree, and in this case, are the roots. You don't see what's behind the scenes. You don't see the intangibles that go into building. What's up, Kelly? That goes into building the society that we study, those societies that we've studied. So this is what we're going to do today. This isn't the sexy stuff. This isn't the, we built ships and traveled and Mali mined $45 billion worth of gold and Mansa Musa was the richest to ever walk through. We're not getting into all of that. This is the roots. This is what created all the fruit that came from that tree. All right. So this isn't the sexy stuff today. These are the fundamentals, but these are absolutely the thing that caused us to be prosperous and to be a great people. So that's what we're going to talk about right now. This is the meat and potatoes right here. All right, first I'm going to start with two symbols. Two symbols. The triangle and the circle. Triangle and the circle. And we'll kind of break these down relative to what they mean from an Afrocentric perspective. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Talking about our culture. Our culture is the secret sauce. This is what separated us from other groups. How we saw the universe, the world, ourselves in it, everything. And so I'm going to start here. So I'm going to start with just kind of giving a brief understanding of what this is. Then we get more detail. So this is a triangle and the circle, or a pyramid. The pyramid in Afrocentric culture represents self-development, personal development. You start at the base. You see at the bottom of the pyramid, you start at the base, and then you're supposed to develop yourself to a point where you get to the highest version of yourself. And then at that highest version, at that particular mature self, then you enter into the community. That's the circle. The circle represents the community. And in African culture, a person is a person because of people. Your community helps to make you what you are. You'll see on my hoodie here, you have Ubuntu. I am because we are, and because we are, I am. Another saying, a person is a person because of people. We understand who you are based on relationship. Any person can claim they have integrity and they're a person of their word, etc., etc. But we'll measure that according to how you relate to your people. Do you give the people your word and keep it? What type of character do you have when you engage people, your community, your friends, your family? That's how we're going to judge who you are and what you stand for, based on how you treat and how you interact with the community. Your word is good because you've kept it with the people that you gave it to. That's why your word is good, not because you stand by yourself. We're not an individualistic type people. This is what made our people great. I'm start breaking it all down. It's the culture that made us great. Our perspective, how we aligned ourselves. So the circle represents the community, the people. And notice that there's no particular point that stands out from the other in the circle. That represents equality. Everyone is seen as an equal person. Equal person with something to contribute to the community. Another saying that you might have heard this one before: all power to the people. All power to the people. We're all one. We're all together. And that's the foundation of our governing practices. You might have heard the Black Panthers say things like that as they were channeling back. And we'll go over a certain word that means to go back. They were recovering the principle. All power belongs to the people, not individuals, not one or two people or a group hoarding up all the resources and keeping it for themselves. That's not how it works. We're all together. We're all connected. We're all one. I'm going to come back to these, but let me go forward for a second and make this point. And then here's the spiral. When I say we're all connected, we're all supposed to spiral up together. Everyone's together. You form win-win scenarios. If it's not a win-win scenario, you don't do it. If it only benefits one person, you don't do it. You work it out until you figure out how everyone can rise up together. And that's why, another reason, there's going to be several reasons, but this is why our kingdoms, our communities, our villages, our tribes overall were prosperous. We're rich. Not perfect. I'm not saying we were perfect people, but I'm saying overall, a prosperous people, and these are reasons why. This is part of the secret sauce that made your ancestors great, to the point that Europeans and Arabs wanted to invade and take their stuff. Win-win scenarios, not individualism, right? Win-win scenarios. So now start to break some stuff down. Again, the secret sauce starts with culture. And our perspective is what is the foundation of our culture. Our perspective. As you can see here, these 4 areas are the fundamentals of that. And they determine our worldview and our culture. Cosmology. It's very rare that we understand what our viewpoint is, because we've grown up in Western society and Western culture. So we've adopted and assimilated to their point of view. But let's talk about what our ancestors understood. First one, that cosmology. Again, this is the roots. This isn't the sexy stuff. This isn't the excitement type stuff. But these are the fundamentals that build the things that you saw, that you studied. So how we saw the universe. That's one. I'll go to this screen. One, we saw the universe as divine. And apologies if this is set up wrong. When I loaded it up to the StreamYard application, it kind of messed up the slides. We'll push through though. So the universe is a cosmos, meaning it's all connected. It's all connected and it's divine. Our ancestors understood the spiritual foundation of everything that we see, and we saw it as divine. All beings within are organically interrelated and interdependent, all connected. Notice the way we see the cosmos, the universe, also is a blueprint for how we formed our community. Again, all connected. It's comprised of spirit and matter. Spirit giving life to matter, matter giving physical form to spirit. And they go together. Look at that next one. And they complement. Complementary pairs. Complementary pairs. And complementary is talking about when two things come together, both of them are enhanced. Two things come together and both of them are enhanced. So you bring spirit and matter together, enhance. You bring man and woman together, both enhance. Complementary pairs, not opposing pairs, not pairs that are in conflict with one another, but they harmonize with each other. We saw the universe as harmony. Again, notice how we correlate that with the way we structure our society. Everyone linked together, everyone in harmony. So this is how we saw the universe. This is the foundation for our perspective, which caused us to be prosperous in everything that we did. Not perfect people again, but overall we were prosperous. And so I put this slide here that says we unlock Ubuntu. We unlock Ubuntu. Talking about what's on here. I am because we are. So because the universe is made up of complementary forces and pairs that come together in harmony, we want our society to replicate that. And so we want to join together with our neighbors, our family, our friends in harmony, because that brings out the best in everybody. We want to complement one another because that brings out the best in each other and it causes our communities to rise. So we saw the universe one way, and because we saw it that way, divine, in harmony, now we want our societies to replicate that. And y'all saw the results that we've been studying over the last several weeks. You see what the outcomes are because your ancestors understood. This type of perspective and teaching has been lost due to what happened to us during those dark ages of the slave trade, to where we don't practice our cultural perspective. We have the lens of someone else, which is the Western world. And the Western world doesn't even acknowledge spirit. The Western world doesn't even acknowledge harmony. And we'll talk about the Western type of setup a little bit later. I'm gonna keep pushing. Everyone good so far? Let me know in the comments if everyone's good, everyone can hear me, everyone's following along. And then because we believe the universe is divine, we believe it has a creator. has a creator. And this is common. All these things we're talking about, this is common across the Afrocentric spectrum. So no matter what group you encounter, you're going to see this type of framework. A spiritual framework is in place. Names might be different, but the framework is the same across the African family. We call this core culture, core spirituality. And then some of the attributes that they attributed to the creator was the creator's omnipotence, possesses creative power. The creator's omniscient, it's all knowing, omnipresent, limitless, has no boundaries, all powerful. And then the key here is they transferred these characteristics and understood that those characteristics are our essence. The creator, God, all the different names for God that Africa has, all of that for one creator. They understood what God is made of. That translates to us. We have these same type of attributes, but in scale. Scale not the right word. What word I want to use? To a degree, a different degree is what we have them. So, for instance, we look at creative power. Well, you know what? I'm gonna come back to that. I have a slide for that. I'm gonna come back to that. I'm still building. We'll come back to that. So here we go. So the image of God. God's attributes equal our essence. God's attributes, our essence. And see that word at the top? Senecha. It's talking about, it means the image of God. This is an ancient word, an ancient phrase that you find in the Nile Valley. Thousands of years before any type of spirituality came on the scene, our ancestors understood that we are the image of God. And you'll see other type religions and holy books understand that principle as well. The first time you see it, though, is among your ancestors in the Nile Valley. The image of God. God's attributes are our essence. And I put the word ocean there because there's a saying that I thought was fitting. And that saying is, we're not just like a drop in the ocean. We're the entire ocean in one drop. You're the entire ocean in one drop. Equate that to spirituality. You're all of God in one being. You're all that God is in one being. That's you. And look at that word Muntu. Muntu, supreme being with power. And also is talking about how you're 100% spiritual and 100% physical at the same time. There's no word in Indo-European language, and let's specifically say English. There's no word that says that you're a spiritual and physical being in one. If you're going to describe yourself as that, you have to say human being, spiritual being. You have to bring them two together. But there's no one word that describes you as that, because the Western world doesn't believe in spirit like that. And I know some of you are going to say, well, what about Christianity? That's a political move for them, but we'll talk about that another time. But there's a reason why you don't teach spirituality in Western schools, because they don't believe in it. They don't believe in it. Different. But our ancestors understood who they were. Again, this is our cultural perspective, and you build on them. These are the roots. These are the roots. Look how it manifests in us, our ability to know, do, and become. We understood that no matter what you put your mind to, you could achieve that. You could achieve it. It's just a matter of putting forth the work, understanding who and what you are, what your abilities are, our ability to learn anything. You can learn anything. For example, if you take anything you understand and compare it to something you don't understand, you will then understand it. What did you just say just now? Here's what I mean. You can take something like basketball. Everyone understands basketball for the most part. If you explain to someone who doesn't understand rocket science using basketball, they will then understand it. They will then understand rocket science using comparables. The Bible's popular for it, using a parable. To understand the kingdom of heaven, he said it's like a man who's going to fish. They were fishermen he was talking to. So we use fishermen examples to explain something that they couldn't comprehend, which was heaven. That's speaking to our ability to learn anything. We can learn anything if we use the right teaching tool. And there's some other stuff there that we'll get into at another time. Well, you know what? I'll speak on instant versus time and space, because when God does something, it's instant. Boom, it happens right there, right? God spoke and the world became. It's done. We have that same ability, but only thing that separates us is time. So the time you say something to the time it actually manifests, the only thing in between that is time. And it takes time. That's all. You can achieve all the things you want to create. You can actually create those things, achieve those things, manifest those things. It's only a matter of time. That's it. The only way you didn't get the things that you've been planning for and working towards, for the most part, is if you quit. That's it. We believe we were limitless people. We can achieve it. And the human race has definitely achieved a lot of different things. I'm going to keep going, though. These are beliefs that our African ancestors had, which caused them to be on point. Here are some of the questions that they understood about themselves. Who are you? Critical question that they asked. Who are you? Spirituality answers that question. Who are you? What are you? This is where you get into physical science. What are you? That answers that question. Our ancestors knew those. We'll get into it in a minute. And who and what are you in relation to? This is important. For instance, who are black people in relation to white folks? Are we supposed to be their servants? Are we supposed to be their slaves? Who are we in relation to other groups? Who are we? We are the parents of humanity. That's one. We're the creators of civilization. That's two. So just based on those two things alone, we're not supposed to be walking around as a subservient group of any other race or group of people. We're not supposed to be slaves of anybody, especially when we were the first human beings on the planet. They say modern humanity, Homo sapiens sapien, the oldest bones are about 300,000 years old. Those are black folks. The next group that comes along was 20,000 years ago. So for about 280,000 years in Homo sapiens sapiens existence, modern humanity, there were no other people on the planet but black folks. That might be a little much for some people right now. It's all right, though. Not supposed to be subservient to anybody. We are the foundation of humanity. What are you and what are you, we capable of? We knew our capabilities. Our ancestors knew. And that's why they created what they created. They had an understanding. Let's keep going. I'm going to take myself off the screen here so we can see it. This is part of the educational process to help understand those questions that were just asked. Something called the Ivunda Concept. Now, this comes from the eastern side of Africa, but it's symbolized everywhere. Everywhere you go, you're going to see this type of setup when it comes to our education during those years. The Ivunda Concept, holistic process. Everything that is known is learned in the context of the entirety of life. This is our educational system for the purpose of furthering physical, intellectual, and spiritual growth. Our people had an education system. This is why they thrive so much. Another key ingredient to the secret sauce. This is why they thrive. Look at the next part. Ivunda, to mold, to form, to raise up a person in all aspects, physically, intellectual, and moral, with a special emphasis on morals. Remember, we talked about and said the universe is like a cosmos, and there are forces within this cosmos that need to operate in a complementary way, forming some harmony. You need to operate in harmony. If you didn't have the right character, the right morals, you weren't going to operate in harmony with your community. So this is why we put a special emphasis on morals and character. Dr. Baruti says the number one problem in our community today is a lack of character. But this was the forefront of our educational system prior to being invaded by any people. And this is why we prospered. This is one of the reasons why we prospered and achieved what we achieved. Now it's been watered down with the Western way of educating, and we are in turn miseducated, and there's no emphasis on morals or character whatsoever. Third line, education for life. To mold a person's innermost core, read that now, to mold a person's innermost core in such a way that one gradually acquires positive human dispositions, which are reverence, respect, generosity, hard work, self-control. This is the kind of disposition you're going to have, the type of characteristics you're going to have when you go through this type of educational process. These are the type of adults our children were becoming back then. You would mold them to be reverent, have respect, generous, be hardworking, have self-control, etc., etc. Then on top of that, you had education for living, which is to acquire necessary information, skills, and techniques needed in the surrounding ecological and social cultural environments. In other words, you had skills. You can convert the earth's natural resources and raw materials into usable products. You had knowledge on how to heal the body. You became a doctor. Yeah, but you understood metallurgy, so you're able to make all types of not products, but equipment. There we go. Using the iron and the bronze, like you were skilled. Blacksmith, it was all kind of things that we were accomplishing, but you understood how to take skill, develop your skill, and then use that to build an economic system around yourself. How to trade, like you understood the physical part of how the earth worked. I'll say it like that. A lot of different ways to say it, but I'll say it like that. Again, this is the roots. This isn't the sexy stuff. But compare this type of educational system to the education experience we have now that you went through, and even your kids are going through right now. Like, for example, going back to education for living, right? Necessary information, skills, and techniques. There's no classes on taxes. Let's just talk about how the Western world ill-equips its people. There's no classes on taxes or anything like that. The law, your rights, they don't get into all of that stuff. Credit, since credit is a feature of this capitalistic system, you don't get that type of information. Just for an example. Let's keep going. And then let's do like a quick comparison. African-centered education connects mind with heart. Use of your intellectual powers while listening to the heart intuition. Roots to be grounded in the circle of life. This is what African-centered education gave us. Put spirituality and the life of virtue at its center. This is why those nations lasted so long. And the community was built up the way it was built up. You were being molded according to these attributes that you see. And then compare that to the Western world. Separation of heart and mind. So no empathy, no compassion. That's one of the byproducts of that. Lots of information unconnected to intuition. Fragmented info. You're not seeing how one piece of information has anything to do with the other. For instance, maybe you learned trigonometry and then didn't know what to do with it. You didn't know where to apply this information that you received, that you were required to learn. Where do I implement this? Where am I going to use calculus? Where, when, how? How does it apply? A lot of disconnected information you learn in Western schools. Another one, doesn't put virtue or spirituality at its center. This is how you're able to use knowledge and information to manipulate and do things that are immoral. Because you don't understand the virtue that goes with it. There's a responsibility you have with knowledge. Again, we're just breaking down why our ancestors were the way they were and how they accomplished what they accomplished. Not the sexy stuff, I know. But listen, this is necessary. We need this. We need to go back to this. We need to go back to this. And then also they emphasize the knowledge of self. A knowledge of self. We don't have the capacity to get and deep dive into what self is and all kind of other things that go along with that. We can go over some fundamentals of it, though. Knowledge of self, 4 main areas, according to Dr. Naeem Akbar. He talks about knowledge of human nature. So you understood social sciences and behavior, talking about psychology, right? You understood biology, melanin, you understood human nature. You have the knowledge of the origin of yourself, your history. That was key. History of the development of civilization, your contributions, how you were indigenous to all continents. Black people are indigenous to every single continent. That's important to understand. Knowledge of nature, the natural world, patterns of Mother Nature, the environment, cycles, all the physical sciences, math, all those things went into knowledge of nature. And of course, knowledge of God is also a part of it. Understanding the creator, because if you understand the creator, you understand you. If you understand creation, you understand yourself. This is key. All those things were being taught. That's how we molded ourselves into that type of successful people that you saw. Again, part of the ingredients of the secret sauce that made our ancestors great. We have Negro History Week. We had Black History Month. Now we need to go to mandatory classes with this information included so our people can be molded correctly. So we can be deliberate about the kind of adults we want to produce, the kind of citizens we want to have, the type of people we want to become. Have to be deliberate and intentional, giving them this information right here. Everyone good so far? Hope so. Hope so. And then in addition to that, all this going underneath the pyramid, the triangle, as you personally, you get your personal and self-development, you also had your purpose. This was important. You did not walk around as a member of any African family, community, etc., and you didn't have an idea of what your purpose is. Purpose, knowing your purpose is, because there are definitely more than one, was mandatory. Mandatory. Let's hit the first one. Overall. And then within these purposes, you'll find your mission. One purpose, create beauty and harmony in the world. You were designed to create beauty and harmony in the world. Now, how you go about doing that is your personal mission, but that's your overall purpose, is to create beauty and harmony in the world. And it reflected in the type of communities that we build. Skip the yellow one. We'll come back to that. Go to the third one. It says to destroy Isfet. You had an obligation to destroy anything that was going to mess up the harmony that this world was built on. Anything that was disrupting that was considered evil and injustice. Anything like that. And also note, you're not supposed to sit idly by and watch that, whatever that evil thing is that's disrupting the community and causing destruction. You're not supposed to ignore it. You're supposed to do something about it. Get active. Address it. You're supposed to destroy it. That's part of your purpose, to keep this world in harmony. Now go back to that yellow one. Restore our people back to our traditional greatness. This comes from the Kwanzaa Principle, Nia. Because after this time period, this golden age that we're talking about, we know we had a dark age come on our African ancestors, our Black people around the world, where racism as an ideology, white folks, Europeans, and Arabs were radicalized with these ideas that Black people are savage and criminal and inferior and meant for slavery. It even affected the church. You had the papables, where the popes are decreeing that God said to enslave people, Black people specifically. You had different things like that happening. And that brought on a dark age, and it separated us from who we really are, our traditional greatness. And so the Kwanzaa Principle is asking you to make this your purpose, part of your purpose, to restore our people using your gifts, your intellect in different areas, help restore our people back to that traditional greatness. All the stuff that we've been going over the last 6-7 weeks, we're supposed to be aligning ourselves to get back to that, doing the work to get back to that. That's our purpose. That's our generational purpose. It'll be the next generation's purpose also. And after that, however long it takes in order to complete the restoration process. All of this is part of our purpose. And notice that all of it's going to have some type of service to the community. Some type of service to the community is where you're going to find your specific mission within this purpose. You're going to find work out of your purpose. You have your purpose and there's work that comes out of it. Now watch this now. You have your purpose and then there's work that comes out of it, right? And out of your work comes fulfillment. The only way to get fulfillment is work that's connected to your purpose. So you can be doing something right now, whatever career you have, that's not quite in line with your overall purpose, and you're not getting any fulfillment out of it. That's possible. The only way you get fulfillment from an Afrocentric point of view is from the work you do that's in line with your purpose. Once you get your purpose and then the work that comes out of that, the fulfillment just naturally comes. Naturally comes. And so all that's important. If you don't have purpose, if you don't have fulfillment, there are a lot of issues that are developed as a result of not having that. And we'll kind of touch on some of those things in just a few minutes. But purpose was definitely an attribute of our societies back then, helping to make our communities and kingdoms great. People had purpose. Very important. Very important. And so just to kind of harp some more on the virtues, and I'll go over these quickly. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these. Don't want to overdo it. But if you want to take pictures of the screens that I'll put up, and we'll keep the conversation going. But these are 6 virtues that you had to be molded with in order to enter adulthood. We have something called the rites of passage. In some way, shape, or form, you had to go through trials and tribulations to help develop these types of virtues so that when you entered the community, you were an asset to the community. You didn't bring destruction to the community. You were part of this, the Ubuntu. I am because we are. A person is a person because of people. And you entered that in a way of harmony, into a state of harmony at your best self. In order to get to your best self, you need these 6 virtues very quickly. Very quickly. Oh man, it kind of messed it up on here. It didn't upload correctly. That's okay though. The first one is talking about reverence. I don't know if y'all can see that all the way, but it's supposed to be reverence. Apologies. It's the honor or respect felt and shown to the divine, a person, place, time, or thing. This was your main attribute. One of your main attributes, your virtues, reverence. You can't see that word, but it's ishumbu. Ishumbu means to recognize, affirm, and make known, watch this, the uniqueness of a person, thing, or event, to set apart for admiration and appreciation. Imagine if our society was built on this, recognizing and affirming someone's uniqueness and giving people flowers, you know what I'm saying? Showing appreciation. You see what I'm saying? The next one, Mushum. It means a revered person, one deserving honor and respect. And anyone who was walking in these virtues, you were considered to be a Mushumbu. And maybe my pronunciation of that word is not the 100% accurate, but you understand what I'm talking about. You get the context, though. Members of the society were considered to be people who were revered people. That's how we set things up. I'm going to remove myself from that last one. You can't see it, but it's Ishumba. Means to highlight, listen to this, to highlight or bring to light the good qualities of a person or thing, to inflate the bright side of a person, which everyone has one. That's the kind of society that we have. Imagine you had a group of people who are just highlighting your good qualities, right? The bright side of you, not dwelling on your weaknesses, your insecurities, your mistakes, etc., etc. but making sure we highlight the good qualities, making sure we pay homage to you, respect you, and you do the same for us. That's the kind of communities that we were setting up. You have to be a person of reverence. Person of reverence. Next one, real quick. If I can get this button to work, there we go. Self-control was a big one. Again, these are the virtues that built our community and caused our people to be on point. Self-control, restraint exercised over one's own impulses, emotions, and desires. Self-explanatory. Control over oneself, desires, the ability to self-govern. That's one thing when I work with the young people, I always talk about self-governing. All that asking permission and all this kind of stuff. I want you to govern yourself. Stop getting used to people telling you what to do. You naturally do the right thing. Do what you're supposed to do. That's the kind of adult I want you to be. So I'm putting that expectation on you now as a young person. This was a big one. Self-discipline, self-restraint, willpower, level-headedness. I did not have a lot of these things coming up, and your boys struggled. I didn't have the self-discipline and the self-restraint and the willpower and the level-headedness. I was not molded with these types of things, but our ancestors were. And so once I did learn, I did my best to involve my son in these things. Maturity, ability to control oneself in all situations. And you see that word, guruma. That's the original spelling of the word too. G-U-R-U is how most people know it. But guruma, that means a self-mastered person. You were trying to become a self-mastered person. Again, talking about them, remember that triangle. You're trying to rise to your highest self, right? That self-mastered point. And then we want you to enter and be an asset to the community relative to the circle. And you see those other ones before. Take a picture of the screen if you need to. How you demonstrate self-control. You control the urges of the body. You control your mind. You channel your thoughts. You focus your thoughts. You control your emotions, your speech, use of language. That demonstrates self-control. So you can talk about how you have self-control, but we're going to see it in your actions if it's going to be true. Let's keep going. Again, this isn't the sexy stuff, man. But these are the things that made us great. These are the things that made us great. All going back to, I like what Isa said, all going back to character. These are the virtues so that your character is on point. Dr. Baruti said our number one problem today relative to the Black community is our lack of character. So lack of reverence and respect, lack of self-control. Another one, lack of silence. This is a virtue you had to have back in our day. We are free, proud, and productive people. Silence in the form of thoughtfulness and reflection. Look at the definition: a positive and active force that nourishes thinking and reflection and thus improves the quality of subsequent speech. You're quiet before you speak. You get knowledge before you speak. Maybe even meditate before you speak. And then there are 6 levels of silence. Controlling your tongue and tendency to speak. Speaking a little versus speaking a lot. You see them there. Please take a picture if you need to. Look at that one second from the last. Home in which important secrets and confidential matters rest secure. You don't talk about your family's business on the public square or on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. Right? Keep those things in-house. All right, I'm going to keep going. Courage. This is a big one. I'm just going to say, I had a conversation, respectfully, with some of the brothers on Park Road. Let me just say this real quick. I am coming out of retirement April 16th on the basketball court. I just put up 30 on the youth today. You know what I'm saying? I'm putting the work out here in these streets. But anyway, talking to one of my home people on Park Road, we were kind of talking about the issues. And one thing I noticed Black men tend to do is we tend to talk out of self-defeat. We tend to talk out of fear when it comes to dealing with this system. And Tamara, don't laugh. Don't laugh. I'm about to put in work on them. But we tend to speak out of fear and self-defeat and fatalism, as if there's nothing we can do. Everything's a done deal. It's like we're destined to be in this particular situation, and I'm not seeing the courage in our brothers and sisters. And I'm hoping this is something that we need. We need more courage, especially when it comes to this fight. We can win this fight. We can win this war. 100%. You know, one of the key things they do in the art and when it comes to war strategy is they attack your morale. They attack your morale, so you no longer have the will to fight. And when you don't have the will to fight, they already won the war without even having to use any weapons or anything. Just saying. So courage is something that we need. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, breaking all that down. Maybe we'll do it another time. I'm going to move on for time's sake. So work was another one. I think I missed the screen. It's supposed to be diligence in work, but I missed that screen, so it messed up on me. I'm going to give you the 4 attributes of work anyway from an Afrocentric perspective. First, I'll give you the definition of work. Talking about energetic, steady, and earnest effort in a given endeavor or work. And then we'll go over 4 characteristics of a diligent worker. One who habitually works steadily and enduringly, reasonably hard with maximum energy and effort, works in cooperation with others. Let's stop at that third one for a second. Works in cooperation with others. This is a big one, especially in the community. People who are doing community work and activism and different things like that. There tends to be a lot of ego attached to work, where we say things like, this is the true work, or this is the real work. And we're talking about what we do. And in saying that, you're undermining what other people do, as if they're not doing the real work or the true work. We're making a real tangible contribution to what's going on, but you have all the answers and you know what's going on. A lot of arrogance and high-mindedness, which prevents us from doing what we need to do as a group. So work in cooperation with others. None of us have all the answers. None of us know it all. All of us are doing real and true work in contribution to this overall struggle. And so I run into this a lot. There's a lot of pettiness involved in this, but we're supposed to be working in cooperation with each other. That's key. That's key. So that's an attribute of a diligent worker. I want to make sure we emphasize this. Put the egos down, put the arrogance down, right? Your work is important, and so is other people's work. Remember the circle? We're all equal here. We're all equal here. All of our contributions and efforts are needed in order to win this fight. Just want to put that out there. Look at the last one. Abides by a healthy rhythm of hard work and regular intervals of rest, reflection, and celebration of life. Balance. Or the Bantu word, kaninga is the word for balance. But balance. This is something I need to work on. I'm learning my lesson. This will be the last month I do all this work, and I don't balance it out with rest, reflection, and a celebration of life. That's not going to happen anymore after this. I promise you that. I feel like I have more gray than people who are 50-something years old, man. Out here overworking 14-hour days. What's going on? So I'm going to make that adjustment. So this is the proper understanding of work from an Afrocentric point of view. Again, healthy rhythm of hard work and regular intervals of rest, reflection, and celebration of life. And the supreme value is life from an Afrocentric point of view. And that supreme value defined is to live life to the fullest. Live life to the fullest. I just want to put that out there. Live life to the fullest. And the last one I'll talk about when it comes to the virtues is communality. Communality. I'll skip to the bottom. 5 expressions of community. We're talking about how we come together. The Kashari Experience. The Kashari was your close family members, your friends, right? And your surrounding community. All of that was considered your Kashari. And y'all were close. You moved as a unit, as a group, as a tribe, as a village. And you're all working together. And the other attributes of communality were generosity, cooperation. Again, you see it. hospitality, and compassion. Again, this is to be in alignment with harmony. To create the type of environment that we want, we had to have this type of character, these type of attributes and virtues in the forefront. And this is how we created societies. This is how we built successful communities. Because once you have a community like that, now you have social power. Social power translates into political and governing power. And of course, that also creates economic power. You can't practice cooperative economics like the Kwanzaa Principle tells us to if you don't have a community. Without community, there is no economics. Without community, there's no governing principles. There's no social order. There's nothing. You have to have community. I'm going to put that out there. And so this little comparison from Afrocentric culture to Eurocentric culture, we lost the Afrocentric part, and we need to get back to all the things that we just talked about. Afrocentric culture, of course, is based on the circle, all things being connected. Eurocentric culture, though, is based on the pyramid, not from a personal development standpoint, but from a group standpoint. Only a few are at the top and benefit, while everyone else is on the bottom. And it's a competitive model that they have. So it's individuals competing against each other, even in politics, because everything is going to match that particular framework. Even in politics, there's groups fighting for privileges and benefits, representing themselves in political parties, and they're battling for, again, the authority, the resources, the power, et cetera, et cetera. But it's a competitive model versus a cooperative model, where you're trying to establish harmony with, from an Afrocentric point of view, harmony with. The Eurocentric wants power over. They want a hierarchy. They want to be alpha. Who's going to be the alpha? There's always this competition and this fight. Conflict is always a part of the Eurocentric model. Conflict. Men and women don't come together and complement each other like in Afrocentric culture. Men and women come together and they tend to battle for position. Right now, women have ceded that position to men. The man is the head. The man is up here. Woman is down here. I don't want to get too controversial right now. I'm kind of get hype. But, over in the Afrocentric world, man and women come together and they build a family together. There are certain roles that they play, but the understanding is we're here together. And we're not in some type of hierarchy structure like the Eurocentric world. Relationship based, we talked about that. Ubuntu versus individualism. Right? Talk about the hierarchy. Look at underneath the Eurocentric culture. Dog eat dog. Individual. I'm going to get mine. Doesn't matter what the community is going to, if the community suffers or not. I'm going to do me. It's about me. And through individualism, we create something called rights. Indo-Europeans created rights. I have a right to do this regardless of what the community's talking about, what the state is talking about. Don't matter. I individually have a right. It wasn't like that in Afrocentric culture. It was more about duty. I have a duty to my community. I have a duty to my family. Duty first, because it's community centered first. The community comes first before the individual. What's good for the community? Two different type of perspectives there. And you saw the results. And so I put Umoja on Afrocentric side. That's us coming together in unity, solidarity, being on the same page, not a collection of people within the same zip code like they have us now, right? Right now, they have us organized in different zip codes across the United States, and we're in one area, but we're not a community, though. A community means we're on the same page. Values, principles, morals, unified together for a common cause and common purpose, supportive of one another. In a circle, we have that. We don't have that now. We're a collection of individuals in oppression, trying to survive, and it becomes a crab in the barrel type thing. That's what's happening now. So we have to get back to our roots and who we really are. That's what Kwanzaa is trying to help you do. Kwanzaa is the principles of Kwanzaa are trying to attach you to the culture you had before when you were a great people. It's trying to get you to celebrate those things and operate in those principles throughout the entire year, because those are the things that's going to help restore us back to our traditional greatness. Practicing our cultural perspective and not the European perspective, which you see problematic. I'm gonna go to the next slide because we're almost out of time. Some more attributes of Eurocentric culture that are problematic. So in Eurocentric culture, there tends to be purposelessness. I don't have a purpose. I have to find myself. Who am I? There's no molding of a person to understand who and what they are and what their purpose is, like we had in our educational system. You see what I'm saying? Sense of loneliness. There's such an emphasis on individualism and not community in the Eurocentric Western culture. Everyone feels like they're by themselves. Look at the next one, isolation. Everyone feels isolated, by themselves. Loneliness is a big problem. No one's there for me. No one cares. No one sees me. And then to get a certain type of attention, we do things that are compromising to our character and who we really are. Because we want the attention that comes with community, but we don't have community. Again, no supportive community is the next one. Feeling of anonymity. Being a nobody, nothing special. Who am I? Again, not understanding who you are as a spiritual being. That voice on the inside, that's the real you. And that's not developed. So you feel like everybody else feels. You're not important unless you have material items, unless you're a celebrity, an album coming out, something like that, a bunch of money, a celebrity, famous, and even they feel lonely and isolated and feel like a nobody. This society is something else, man. Look at the next one, consumerism and being materialistic. Again, because there's no emphasis on who you really are. So to be important, instead of understanding I'm the image of God, the creation of God, meant to create beauty and harmony in the world, to destroy evil, to restore our people back to our traditional greatness, to understand purpose, and then get work from that, and then I achieve fulfillment, you don't get any of that. So in this culture, to get something, they try to accumulate stuff, name brand and money and materials. And I have 4 and 5 women who want me, and I have all of this. See what I'm saying? In order to try to feel something. These are the issues with Western society. We didn't have these issues prior to being assimilated into their culture. They're just some attributes. Look at that. Struggle to express true emotions. Feeling like a carbon copy. No authenticity. So you do some things to stand out. Maybe you tattoo your whole body. And at the root of that, just to stand out, just to be different. Not understanding you're already different. There'll never be another you to exist. But instead of venturing to understand and get a knowledge of self, you don't have that. You feel like a carbon copy. And so you do things to try to stand out instead of understanding who you are. And that alone makes you unique. Afrocentric culture, we made a point to do that. Here, carbon copies. Or you're a parrot or a follower. You see that? Parrot or follower. A lot of people are bandwagon. A lot of people, respectfully, not trying to talk at people, but respectfully, a lot of people bandwagon and follow the crowd and do things that other people are doing. Not having a voice within themselves, not having developed that. And then, of course, emotional problems, unhealthy feelings of anger, rage, sadness, the things that aren't talked about that are masked with entertainment. Yeah, man. Issues in Western structure. And we see our brothers and sisters struggling with a lot of this. Struggling with a lot of these issues. And we didn't have these things based on how our communities were organized back in the golden age. There's a reason why we were the people we were. Very important. So Sankofa, you might have heard this word. It means to go back and to fetch it. Symbol of the wisdom of learning from the past to build for the future. Or some people translate it as return to the source. But go back. That's what we try to get our people to do. Go back to these principles that we had in the golden age period that made us great. Go back and get those and make those a part of your character, a part of your educational system, a part of the way you build your environment, your community, part of how you solve our issues and our problems. You go back and get the wisdom of the past when we were a great people. Bring that and use that as your weapon. That's why we're saying go back. That's why we study the history. That's why we study our previous culture. That's why we're talking about melanin. We're taking all that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and we're going to use it today to emancipate the mind, because the only chain that's left now are the mental chains. That's it. That's the only chains left. Our ancestors already beat the physical chains. Gone. Slavery was supposed to last permanently. Supposed to be a permanent political institution that we were on their plantations and chained permanently, forever, perpetuity. Our ancestors rebelled all throughout the Caribbean, on the African continent, in the United States, all of that. And eventually, one region after another could no longer maintain the institution of slavery. Our ancestors beat that part. Now it's on us to get in here. To get in here, the mental part. What's one way you do that? Go back. Go back and go get that information, wisdom, knowledge, bring it to the forefront. They say knowledge is power. Use that. Form weaponry out of that power. Right? Get your authority back out of that power. That's all I'm saying, man. That's the whole reason for the class. Not to be cute, not to get Facebook views. Who cares? We got to restore our people back to our traditional greatness. That's the entire point. So Sankofa is a powerful, powerful word, powerful process. I invite all of you to engage in your own personal Sankofa. I'm going to take it upon myself to understand everything about who we are that the school system has never taught and will not teach. I'm going to understand it. And then I'm going to use that to revolutionize my family, my friends, my community. I'm going to get it in line with my purpose. And out of that purpose will come work. And from work comes fulfillment. All these things start to get in line. When I started to do that, the more and more I did it, the more I shed this Western mask that I had put on. And all that miseducation that I was subjected to the point where the name that I was given no longer matched who I really was anymore. And so on April 2nd, 2014, I changed my name. This is where I got Marifa from. Marifa Ukweli. I can no longer identify with the name I had before. Matter of fact, let me read to you real quick on page 15 what's your name, how deep your name is. Watch this now. This is from the book Self-Healing Power and Therapy. Watch this now. It says your name is the real you. Jay Electronica said on one of his songs, he says that name on the birth certificate, that ain't the real me. The name on the birth certificate is not the real me. That's what he said. Hold on. He says your name is the real you. It's a moving power. You're a moving power towards success. It is socially given power to you that no one can prevent. Your name is the most important word that you will ever know in your lifetime. Come on, talk. As such, it is one of the most important keys to life. It has a radiating power. Talk about your name. It has a radiating power in you and around you. There is no day in your life when your name will not ring in your ears and mind. When it's called, it produces waves and radiations in and around you because it represents the content of your potential package of kinetic energy. Last sentence. There is magnetization between you and your name when it's spoken. Talk about your name. I didn't get any of that from that European name I was given, because that ain't the real me. I didn't get any of that. And then I realized the concept of self-creation, an African principle. And I said, I can create myself. Same way God created this world, I can create my own world, starting with my name. So I changed my name to Marifa Ukweli with 8 more names attached to that. We won't get into all that right now. But what you know is Marifa Ukweli. And from that point on, the world started to cater to me, and it was structured according to my name and who I really was, the essence of who I was. I invite you to do the same thing. Go on that Sankofa journey. Rediscover who you are, what your capabilities are, who your people were, your lineage, how they treated each other, how they saw things, their culture, all of those things. Revisit that, re-Africanize yourself, and then walk like a beast in this world. That's how it's supposed to work as we restore our people back to our traditional greatness. It's 8:20. I'm way over time. My apologies. You get hyped sometime. But listen, I appreciate everybody listening. Anyone who's tuned in, I appreciate you. If you get a chance, show this to the young people. Show it to your family. There are some boring parts, but they're necessary, man. These are some of the attributes, the ingredients of the secret sauce that made our people great. Period. They're not going to share this in the school system. They're not going to do it. It's on us to do this work. Buy the books, do whatever you need to do to get you and your family on point so you navigate this world with power. That's it. Y'all good? Does anyone have any questions before we sign off, before we roll out? Any questions? Any issues? Anything? No. Anybody? I'll let it play for just a little bit. If not, man, listen, man, I appreciate y'all, man. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you. What's up, Kelly? Bliss, Isis, Leslie, Sugar Booger. I know your nicknames. Miss McKnight, appreciate you. Appreciate y'all, man. Kelly, appreciate y'all, man. Aura, Renee Hardy. Everybody, man. Much respect to everybody. We will see y'all next week on Tuesday, 7 o'clock. I'll try to be on time this time. I think I was like 10 minutes late this time. All good, though. So next week, man, I appreciate y'all. Respect.